Welcome to another edition of Entrepreneurs and Fuego, where we're documenting the journey of amazing entrepreneurs, one digital footprint at a time. With me, I have the distinct pleasure of having a terrific guest who deals with intellectual property, Wayne Carroll, with Inspired Idea Solutions.
Thank you, Francisco.
How you doing?
Good.
How's it going today, man?
We're doing great.
You're looking great, man. You're looking real
Thank you.
good. Tell us a little bit about what you do.
I help entrepreneurs to protect inspired ideas, those inventions and brands, things that they've worked hard, sifted through hundreds of ideas, or they work so hard to come up with these. I see them as inspired. I see them as, even though it's so much work to come up with them, I still like to give credit to a higher power for receiving them as gifts.
Great. Now, at which point of that creation or that creative process should I say, I gotta give my main Wayne a call because I need to protect that intellectual property, that idea, that service that I just created? At what point of my journey should I do that?
Well, it's best as early on as you can to start the conversation. Sometimes it's not ready to actually patent or protect, but, well, protection starts with figuring out how much you need to keep secret. And what kind of contracts you need with people, agreements, so that you don't lose control of it with an employee that is working with you or a partner who, hey, you're best friends, nothing could go wrong, and then you part ways and you don't have any agreements to keep it confidential. That can be a big problem.
And that, I think, happens more often than not. And that is something that we really don't think as entrepreneurs. My buddy is my best friend, we have this great idea, but like any relationship, it can definitely sour, and they can sour very quick.
Yes.
What do you do then?
Well, unfortunately, there is business divorce. I don't do that.
You're just the guy that protects the stuff going in.
Right. I want to help set you up so that if there is a parting of ways, it's already laid out and planned out. So as a professional, what I always try to plan on the worst case scenario. Okay. If you plan on it, it's much less likely to happen.
And what I'm hearing is that it really doesn't matter what type of relationship you have with that partner, with that individual that you are at the very beginning of the creative stage, of the entrepreneurial stage, even if you're already a former corporation. It really doesn't matter whether you're boyfriend, girlfriend, whether you are friends, whether you're brother, sister, brothers, whatever. Put it down in writing, lay out the expectations. What if we have to break up in a year or 2 years or whenever? So that's probably the best thing to do?
Yes, yes. Usually it's done inside an LLC. That's the most common. You can set up a formal partnership. Taxes are a big part of it. I don't do that part, but really an LLC can be taxed any way you like, with a few exceptions, but there's tax professionals who handle that.
And then you would lay out or spell out, like you said, the worst case scenario going in. Yes. That way everybody has the expectations. This is the uncomfortable talk that you're going to have, from the beginning. But then once you have it and once you lay it out, then you just go on to doing your business, right?
Yeah, it also helps set entrepreneurs up for investors, because I've seen situations where someone has come in and the inventor didn't put their invention into, so they filed a patent and they didn't put that asset into the entity. Mm-hmm. They gave them a license. Well, when there was a breakup, the entity had been investing a bunch of money. Their license was, they were told no more. So now all their investment had nowhere, you couldn't do anything.
Without that licensing agreement,
yeah.
And if there is that breakup that you're talking about, the potential breakup, and again, we're talking about worst case scenarios that you don't really want to talk about when you're starting a business, right? Because you've got all these dreams, we're going to be driving Ferraris in a year and all this thing, but that doesn't happen. In real life, it don't happen, right?
The overnight success usually takes 10 years.
And let's say that again. The overnight success takes an average of 10 years.
Yes.
And you know what happens?
But it does happen. It does happen.
Sure. And that's one of the things that this program, Entrepreneurs and Fuego, is doing is we're trying to demystify. de-glamorize, if you will, the idea of the entrepreneur's overnight success. And overnight, we're trying to redefine, you just said 10 years. I mean, but a lot of the media, what we're getting is, man, we're going to be driving Ferraris in about, 24 hours. We got a great idea, bam, it's just right there. We don't have to do much work, and it's going to be right there, right?
Right.
So, all right, and so you do this now. A lot of us probably don't think in terms of worst case scenarios, like I said again, not only because of the ideas that I just said, but also maybe fiscally, financially, it's really not that, we're not at that point. We don't want to invest the $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 that it would take to create this organization and to actually define exactly what the breakup is going to be, if in fact it happens.
Right. Yeah, and that's a challenge, is that there are some things you can do on your own. Definitely forming an LLC is really simple. It's the operating agreement, that agreement between everybody that says how people come in, how people go out, and that's the part that needs a lot of care and that's the expense.
Have you seen situations where you've sat down with entrepreneurs and, hey guys, this is what you need to do, and they're like, yeah, and they go out, they don't do it, and then about a year later they come back to you, hey, we should have done something like that, we should have taken your advice, we should have done this thing, this and that.
Yeah, early on I worked with a group, there were 4 people all starting up a company, and 2 of them were boyfriend, girlfriend, we had 2 other people, and we filed patent, but they didn't worry about all those details, and 2 years later, when it was time for the next step, everybody was in different directions. And I felt really bad in some ways that I didn't push them harder to say, this is going to be a problem. Because everybody was having fun and working together. And then nobody ended up taking that investment forward. And that's too common of a story.
And so let's talk a little bit about pricing, from a pricing perspective. And I don't want to put you on the spot per se, but should we then, as entrepreneurs, figure into our original investment, if you will, just the very thing that you're talking about? Hey, we got to set X number of dollars apart in order for us to be happy going forward.
Yeah.
That's got to be an incredible component into our business plans if we don't put it down in there.
Right, and it will come back. You'll spend more money later if you don't set up your business correctly. I don't know about most, but lots of entrepreneurs go looking for investment. You're really bringing in additional owners. That's what investment is. Usually it's not loans that entrepreneurs are thinking about, although that's a definite. When you have a loan, a bank wants to see that things are set up properly. They're going to want to see those documents. Those documents will be asked for a number of times. And it's either get them done now and know what you're doing, or get them done later. And you're trying to play catch up and figure out where all the pieces are so you can pull them together.
So it's, in addition to filing a patent, then you're doing trademarks, copyrights, and all that stuff as well, right?
Yes. That's what I focus on, is preparing and filing patents, filing trademarks, and some negotiations. I don't do the litigation side, but I help when there's negotiations and licensing. I'll do that part. Have other professionals that'll come in, and I have connections and resources for those other parts.
What's the greatest success story that you have seen come through your office that you can remember, something that is really memorable, that you said, all right, folks, this is what you need to do. They did it. And then at a later stage in their business life, things blossom and things were just going very well. Is there some story there that you can recall?
Well, there's one, he's going great. He's not at the end success, but he's been doing what I've told him to do. He's been making great progress. He's, for about 30 years, he was painting houses. And he saw a need for an invention, and he decided he was going to go for it. And he's been putting in a lot of effort into making it happen, and we're hoping 2016 is the year he really goes big. He's sold some, but he's looking for that national launch.
And for that, of course, he's got that necessary protection in order to, catapult himself to that national stage. Without it, you could probably do it, but you would be very naked, if you will. I mean, unprotected.
Right. Once you hit that national exposure, then everybody else sees, hey, this is a great idea, great product, and you don't have any protection to stay exclusive.
Is it hard to go after the copycats? I mean, anybody can copy a product, right? Overseas and so forth, right? Is it hard to enforce the trademarks and the copyrights and the patents here in the United States?
Well, prevention does save you. And so, yes, it can be hard. But most of the time, people aren't trying to steal. Most of the time, people are all trying to go for the same solution, and you got there first and they don't know about it, so once you tell them about it, they'll back off because they don't want to fight.
Got it.
So that's most of the time. Yes, there are some bad actors out there, some who will just steal and lie, and you know, that will always be a problem, and those are hard to deal with. But most of the time, like with a brand name, I've seen many people come up with similar brand names, or someone start using a brand name and not know that somebody else out there is using it or has even registered it nationwide. And so I heard of one story of a woman who, after in business about 5 years, was recognized nationally, well, locally, but as Businesswoman of the Year for a local organization that got national press. And that national press reached somebody who had that registered mark.
Oh.
So after all that effort and time put into it, she received a letter saying,
Cease and desist.
Cease and desist. You've got to change your brand right away.
Work.
Yeah, and so she put in, and the investment may not have been actual advertising dollars, but time and effort and everything.
I think it's
She
just
had to
emotional.
start over, and that happens quite a bit.
What's the best advice you received?
Best advice I received. Know which clients to say no to. You know?
And you do have to.
Yes.
At some point, you have to discern which ones you want to say no, and then the ones that you feel that you can assist, that you can help.
Yes. And there are people who aren't really ready to go forward. And so in some ways, I'm doing them a disservice by saying, oh yes, I'll take your money to go forward. If they're not ready to do things the way I know they need to get done, I let them go find somebody else or get ready.
That's awesome. We would love for you to do some workshops here at the Office Pile, some seminars about how to protect your name, your brand, your trade, etc. And I think that we would find it incredibly beneficial and more affordable than not if we take this advice, you know, all the lessons that you're teaching us right now in the front end of our entrepreneurial careers. And that's a lesson for everybody listening to this thing and watching this thing. Take a little bit of a budget and call a main man Wayne. It'll save you a lot of money in the future.
Yeah.
Sounds good, man.
So,
Thank you so much, and I appreciate it. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you.
And with that,
And happy birthday.
wow, the cat's out of the bag, man. The cat's out of the bag. I just turned. And with that, we're out.